Whoops. Good morning, chat. I just realized something is missing from my stream here. There we go. So good morning, chat. How's everybody doing? I got my coffee. I hope you got yours. Um so I'm still waking up. I'm not gonna lie. So bear with me. Morning, Gunter. Yes, sir, chill wave. Join me for some coffee. And I want to welcome everyone here on bitwave, YouTube, D Live, and Periscope. Good morning. Welcome to the Abyss AM. As the description aptly says in the title, it's news and caffeine. So if you got some coffee or morning drink alternative, please join in. I'm your host, the Eternal Abyss. Welcome. Gotta take a sip of my coffee here. Good stuff. So as I said, I want to welcome everybody on the other platforms that I'm streaming on. I hope everyone had a great night. I hope everyone enjoyed the stream yesterday. I sure had a lot of fun last night. In my weekly stream, did a little bit more interactive kind of thing. I thought it went well. I think at least it was fun. At the minimum. So between last night and this morning, it's like, well, how much could happen? Well, quite a lot, apparently. One thing I've been looking over the trends, the news trends of the morning. But first and foremost, before I go into anything like that, of course I have to shill myself a little bit. Please support me. I pour myself out of bed every morning for you, the people, as Bane would put it. I gotta cover my face when I do that. The people. Could anybody really understand what he was saying? Like, whenever I've watched that movie, I've had to put subtitles. I'm not gonna lie. It just I just can't understand the dude. I don't know what they were thinking. No idea. But anyways, oh, let me check something real quick. I may. Nope, that's not muted. Weird. Why is my little thingy do here not doing its thingy do thing? My Discord is not having the little green circle when I talk. Well, I don't know. For some reason, it's not. All the audio is working. I don't know why it's not detecting that. So no worries. It's fine. I'm not gonna let it spoil my morning. Not at all. Whoops. Having some scrolling issues on my page here. There we go. All right. So, obviously one of the most obvious trends today, we even talked about this a little bit yesterday, was that today's Juneteenth. Juneteenth. So, I don't recall hearing a lot about this when I was growing up and I was younger. I don't have any particular problem with this per se. I just find it very interesting that all of a sudden it's something that's really gotten into the public's mind and the public's focus. And for those that may not be too up to snuff on Juneteenth, It's basically the day that we celebrate the abolition of slavery in the U.S. Here's I don't know how factual these facts are, because I didn't even know this holiday existed. But apparently, there's even a website dedicated to it, Juneteenth.com, that has some history. I'm assuming that it's legit. But it's basically the day that slavery was abolished. Is that slavery ended? Doesn't necessarily mean that slaves were freed or anything like that. There was more that happened after the abolition. Um, so apparently in 1865, June 19th, uh, that's when this whole thing happened. Well, it's like a symbolic date representing that sort of freedom, which the United States is really one of those countries that kind of were on the vanguard of stepping away from that institution. From my understanding of American history. But of course, this also is a great opportunity for people to bring up anti-white sentiment. I mean, I've seen already some tweets. For example, there's one tweet here. It says, "It's Juneteenth. We taking payments from white folks today and every day." Things like that, and that's racist. You know, this would be an opportunity to kind of come together. And this is kind of my chief complaint about these kind of things. People use it for political purposes. They choose to use these kind of things to attack others instead of trying to bring people together. And it's a shame. It's a real shame, in my view, because I think I always view my personal view is that there's always an opportunity to learn about something. There's always an opportunity to grow, and there's always an opportunity to try and reach out across the aisle and try and understand another person's point of view, whatever that aisle may be. It may be an aisle of politics, it may be an aisle of faith, it may be an aisle of culture, ethnicity, background, things like that. So it really depends. And I don't have, like I said, I don't have a problem with celebrating this sort of thing. I think it's a positive step in American history, and I think it's worth celebrating. But it's just it's just sad that people need to use that kind of thing for their own political expediency, and I don't. That's the thing that I don't agree with. Hmm. Uh, so sorry, I'm just looking at my phone because another thing that was interesting that happened was I got a notice from YouTube. Didn't I tell everybody yesterday? How restrictive big platforms are. I'm gonna give you a clear and cut example here. I received an email from YouTube at approximately, let's see if I can actually get the timestamp for this because it's just funny to me. Um, shoot, it's just saying. Well, I can't find the exact timestamp, but this was like early in the morning, like in the middle of the night. And it says A copyright claim was created for your content. This was my morning show yesterday. This was the Abyss AM for June 18th, 2020, yesterday. Apparently the joke that I made about John Bolton and his movie, about his book, I said that there's gonna be, I had heard rumors about a movie in the works now for his book, and the theme song was gonna be Willy Wonka's Pure Imagination. And apparently that infringes on copyright, even though I only used like what, 4 seconds of the song. Literally, I don't think I even used 5 seconds of the song, and apparently I got a copyright strike. Well, it's a claim. I'm sorry, it's a copyright claim. It's not a copyright strike. They actually clarify it in the email. So I don't have a strike against my account, but this is kind of what I'm talking about the BS of YouTube. It's just nonsense. I mean, come on. You can't even use not even 5 seconds of a clip that they're gonna get on your ass about that. Whatever. I'm just laughing about it because you can't even make a joke. You can't make an audio visual joke on YouTube. I mean, it's beyond ridiculous. Just beyond ridiculous. I swear. But moving on with the trends of the morning here. Actually, there was one more thing I want to bring up on my phone while I have this up here. Chick-fil-A is also, there's a news item for Chick-fil-A. You know, I used to like Chick-fil-A. I used to go there. I used to support it as a company because they seem like they were a conservative run company that actually stood up to the leftist mob mentality. But there's some news items here coming out that the Chick-fil-A CEO calls for white Christians to repent for racism. Chick-fil-A CEO Dan Cathy called for white Christians to repent for racism after his company suffered vandalism in its restaurants this week. So here's the problem. First of all, white Christians are not responsible for slavery. So anyone who makes such a claim is ignorant of history. Slavery was not the invention of white Christians. Slavery existed in many different cultures. Many people participated in it, many different civilizations that don't even exist anymore, like the ancient Egyptians, for example. It's in the Bible, for Pete's sake. They enslaved the Jews. But you had slavery since time immemorial, almost, if you want to really call it. You had, if you look at the history of slavery, you also had African tribes selling political dissenters as slaves. There's a documentary about this that's actually quite fascinating, because it shows you that this isn't really, it's not really a racial thing. It was it was a wide spectrum of reasons why people engaged in that sort of activity. So something like this shows me one thing, though. Chick-fil-A grew into one of the most popular franchises ever. And the thing that, you know, really kind of bugs me when I read stuff like this isn't so much what their political opinion is, because I've always had the opinion that companies shouldn't have any sort of political opinion. But the thing that bothers me is this, that this guy took advantage of Christians and conservatives, rallied them, used them to grow his company, and now he's basically taking a giant dump on them. He's turning his back on those principles that people supported him for. And now He just went full libtard, basically. I don't agree with that. I was like, listen, if you have a certain belief system that you want to tout, you're free to do so. That's the beauty of the United States. First Amendment, Constitution. You have a right to believe whatever you want to believe. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But when you use that belief to grow your company, and you have people that were supporting you not only in spirit but financially, and helping you grow financially, and turning you into a monster of a company, earning who knows how much money, and then you just flip on them like that. That's disgusting to me. Which is why ever since he's been, Chick-fil-A and the CEO has been acting like a moron, I have not gone since. Another interesting thing that happened in the news here is that Anthony Fauci, Dr. Fauci, says Americans don't believe science and they don't believe authority. Let me bring this article up and see if I can read a little bit more about it. So, Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, served up harsh criticism of Americans on Thursday, asserting that the country suffers from what he described as an anti-science bias problem. One of the problems we face in the United States is that, unfortunately, there is a combination of anti-science bias that people are, for reasons that sometimes are, inconceivable and not understandable. They just don't believe science and they don't believe authority. Fauci told the Learning Curve podcast, which is produced by the Department of Health and Human Services. And he says, so when you see someone up in the White House, this is still Fauci talking, by the way, which has an air of authority to it, who's talking about science, and there are some people who just don't believe that. And that's unfortunate because, science is truth. Fauci continued, referring to the White House Coronavirus Task Force once daily briefings. It's amazing sometimes the denial there is. It's the same thing that gets people who are anti-vaxxers, who don't want people to get vaccinated, even though the data clearly indicates the safety of vaccines, he added. That's really a problem. Fauci's comments come after the infectious disease expert admitted that the federal government held off promoting the use of face coverings to fight the spread of the coronavirus due to widespread shortages of masks. Fauci said health experts were concerned with public health community. That's not written really well. It's confusing me. And many people were saying this, were concerned that it was at a time when personal protective equipment, including the N95 masks and the surgical masks, were in very short supply. We wanted to make sure that people, namely the healthcare workers, who were brave enough to put themselves in harm's way to take care of people who, were infected with the coronavirus and the danger of getting them infected, he added. Fauci made headlines this week when he declared that he would certainly not attend President Donald Trump's campaign rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, citing personal health concerns stemming from the pandemic. I'm in a high-risk category. Personally, I would not. Of course not. Fauci 79 said in an interview with the Daily Beast. So a few things here. I think that it's difficult for people to take authority and quote-unquote science seriously when science is being manipulated for political purposes. I think this is the biggest problem, one of the biggest problems that we face in our nation. You have one side, for example, that claims there are 100 billion different genders, which doesn't jive with just basic biology. You have another side that, like the anti-vaxxers I see mentioned here, that don't want to do vaccines because they think it causes autism, when there's not really a lot of data that supports that. There may be other issues with vaccines, but again, you do have to look at the data. Then you have people like Dr. Fauci, who throughout this entire pandemic has been saying incredibly contradictory things, making death toll estimates of like 2 million people were gonna die according to Fauci. I'm sorry, if you give me incorrect information all the time, and you give me estimates that aren't accurate, and you use models to predict things that are grossly inadequate, how do you expect people to believe you? How do you expect people to respond to that? The mask issue, for example. Okay, so there was a shortage of masks. You needed it. You needed the protective equipment for those on the front lines. Why not just say so? Why not just say so? You know, in World War II, the government at all levels, we're talking federal, regional, state, local, they would tell people, we need rubber, we need scrap metal, we need you not to, consume ration sugar, ration staple foods, because we need to support the military effort. And you know what happened when that was asked of the American citizen? They went along with it. They didn't tell the government, no, F you, I'm gonna just start downing as much sugar as possible. No. I think that the government should start treating people like adults. We're not children. We're taxpayers. We decide who's our president. We serve in our military to die for our country. Why is it unusual to just ask adults to do the adult thing? I don't think it's far-fetched to ask that, frankly. I really don't. I don't think it's anything unusual. I don't think it's unreasonable. And if you want science to be such an arbiter of truth, or put it on such a high pedestal, then how about you be accurate? How about you show me a proper predictive model, for example? You don't use a biased or incorrect or manipulated model, such as, with climate change, to try and convince me of stuff that's not accurate. That's one option. The other thing is, like I said, treat us as adults. We're not stupid. We're not children. Just be straightforward. Tell us what we need to do if there's a problem, and we'll try to resolve it. Simple. And then you have also the media that plays into that, though, as well. First, they were complaining that Trump the administration wasn't making an effort to reach out and talk to the American people about what was going on with the coronavirus. Then when he was doing the daily briefings, he has to stop doing the daily briefings. Like the guy's damned if he do, damned if he does. Like damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Doesn't matter what he does, what he's doing. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what's gonna end up happening is, people are gonna have to make their own decisions based on the best information they have. And if that information is just not accurate, you can't blame them people to be skeptical when authority says something or they try and claim science. Because first of all, this whole concept that he even touts about science being infallible, it's just nonsense. Science, if you're really a scientist, the first thing that you know about science is that science is never correct. Science gives you the best, not the best. Let me rephrase that. Science gives you a snapshot in time. It gives you a snapshot of whatever you're trying to describe scientifically at that moment with the available data that you have and the available understanding of the frameworks that you're working in. But guess what? Tomorrow that can all change. Let's go back to when Einstein developed the theory of relativity. When Einstein developed the theory of relativity, he had no idea, what was going on in terms of compared to the previous established. What is going on in chat? Hold on, let me take a pause here. I don't understand why this Buffy person is just spamming chat all the time, but whatever. Good morning to you. So, but as I was saying, one thing that like Einstein developed the theory of relativity, it was kind of unheard of and unknown because it was outside of the frameworks of what was being understood at that time. And in fact, a lot of people kind of push back on that, going, "Oh, is that accurate? Is that correct?" And after much remuneration and examining of the theory of relativity, most with time, scientists kind of all went along with it. And now, in more recent times, people are looking back at the theory of relativity, and now that we have more research that's been done with quarks and things of that nature, and how goofy quarks can be, that don't quite fit in with what Newtonian physics talks about, you go and say, oh, you know what? Actually, maybe Einstein's theory of relativity doesn't cover everything that Einstein thought. Even Einstein wasn't 100% correct if you look at it in that fashion. So that's to put science on such a pedestal of science is truth. No, science is not truth. Science is close enough for the time. And anyone who understands the nature of science, of how every day, every minute, every hour, it can change based off of what discovery you make and what discovery other people make, and the understanding of the universe and what data comes along. There's maybe an element out there that nobody has discovered yet, which may change how everybody thinks about our periodic table. I don't know. That's what it means when you want to have a scientific mind. You have to always keep yourself open to the possibility that what you're touting could be wrong. That the data that you're looking at could be inaccurate. There could be some issue. I have no idea what's happening in chat right now. I may just turn off chat because it's not. I don't think it's contributing anything to the stream at the moment. It's just people spamming all the time here, so I'm just gonna turn it off because we don't need to see that nonsense here. I'm probably gonna get a refill on my coffee real soon because it's getting kind of lukewarm. I don't like lukewarm coffee. Who likes lukewarm coffee? Either iced coffee or hot coffee. Those are the two options for me. In between doesn't work. I don't know what you're talking about, Buffy. But I do remember, if Buffy is Sammy, I do remember you whoring out your niece, your underage niece. I do remember that. And I do remember you having your privates splattered all over the internet. So I don't know if you really want to bring up stuff. Because I don't recall anybody ever doxing me. I think I'd remember that. So stay in your lane. Because I'm having coffee. I don't want to deal with this nonsense. But anyways, going back into what the stream is about, it's not. I don't care about that kind of stuff. So other news of the day that's happening, Amy Klobuchar and Kamala Harris are making some news as well because Klobuchar is telling Biden she's pulling out of consideration for VP. She says it has to be a woman and a person of color. She doesn't want to be considered for a vice president. So let me understand this. So this is the thing that I want to understand about Klobuchar. Klobuchar ran and was one of the last people to run until she got arm twisted by her party to back off for Biden. Now she's being arm twisted by her party again because she's white. So for racist reasons, she's backing out. It has nothing to do whether she's competent or not, which she's not. Let's not even get into her competence, but let's pretend for a moment that she is. Okay? She's backing out because of racist reasons. Her party is being discriminatory against white people. She's being discriminatory against herself. And if I was a person of color, if I was Kamala Harris in this scenario, I'd actually be insulted if someone did that. Because if I have to be considered for a high position and you have to step out of the way, the white person has to step out of the way for me, because they have to give me the chance to prove myself, I would be highly insulted by that. It's like, well, wait a minute. Why don't you just consider my competency? Why don't you consider if I'm actually good for the job compared to you? This is the problem when people do stuff like this. You're not helping people when you do stuff like this. What you're doing is basically telling them you can't make it on your own because you're too either incompetent, you're too stupid, whatever. So I'm gonna have to step out of the way to give you little person the chance. Whatever the reason may be, it could be race, it could be religion, it could be whatever. It really doesn't matter to me at the end of the day. But it's like it's really insulting to me. I would view that as highly insulting. Other trends that are happening in the news right now is Dahmer, of all people, because apparently one of the original police officers that Jeffrey Dahmer, I'm sure many people have heard of Jeffrey Dahmer. But before I go into Jeffrey Dahmer, I just want to make one more comment about the politics of the VP. I was saying this yesterday in the morning stream and also in the evening stream. Whoever Biden picks, I don't think it's gonna save his campaign. I really don't think that it's gonna do him any good. And here's the reason why. Kamala Harris had like, if they choose Kamala Harris, people are trending Kamala Harris for VP, whatever. She had very poor polling, very poor support. She actually had really poor support, like black support too. So if they really, 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 really want to play the race card as they're doing, they're gonna have to put in far more effort than that. Mick Mulvaney is also trending, actually. I'm not even sure why. I didn't get a chance to look into that, so we can take a quick look and see kind of what's going on with that. Let's see. He should be still... trending here. Just looking at the news right now. Mick Mulvaney rejects allegation in John Bolton's book. Okay, so it has to do with John Bolton's book. Saying that the claims are false, basically. Let me just expand on that just a touch. They're factually false. So let's see. Former White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney on Friday denied the allegations against President Trump and a former National Security Advisor John Bolton's upcoming book, saying that the claims are factually false. The excerpts that I have seen have been factually false. Mulvaney is now a special envoy to Northern Ireland. I think it's John's sort of whimsical spin on what actually happened at the meeting. So, yeah. The Mulvaney says, did the president talk about the Chinese buying more American soybeans and other agricultural products? Yes. He did that probably every time he talked to President Xi. Mr. Mulvaney said, would selling American agricultural products be good for the country and thus good for president's re-election chances? Yes. But to put those two factually true statements together to make it look like the president is begging China for help, that's bizarre. He argued that Mr. Bolton should have raised his concerns at the time, if he had any, and to raise them now was opportunistic to benefit his book sales. And most political leaders across the political spectrum in Washington agree on that latter point. Even Speaker Pelosi slammed Bolton as opportunistic and arrogant for speaking out now rather than cooperating with the impeachment investigation. Bolton's allegation made him a key player in the impeachment case against Mr. Trump in January, as the earliest leaks reportedly asserted Mr. Trump told the military aid to Ukraine to be blocked until that country turned over information on former Vice President Biden, a political rival, and when Ukraine meddled in, or whether Ukraine meddled in the 2016 election. Those claims were at the center of the Democrats' case, which accused Trump of using military aid to leverage Ukraine into opening investigations into Biden, now the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee. Senate Democrats used Bolton's information to ramp up pressure on vulnerable Republicans to support their push for key witnesses, which did not succeed. And Democrats received criticism for not pursuing a subpoena for Bolton, who said he would not cooperate with the House in order to proceed quickly in the impeachment process. So, and this is the thing, yeah, he refused to testify at the time, and there were people in that meeting. Pompeo, yesterday, said that what he said was baloney, and I have to tend to believe Mulvaney and Pompeo on this one. I think it's ridiculous. I don't think that it's a good look for Bolton, frankly. It seems like, see, this is the problem when people write these kind of books. Even if there's some truth in it, let's say there's some truth in it. It always sounds like a disgruntled employee. And that's the problem. And now there's another trend that just happened now as we're talking here, because the President Trump tweeted, any protesters, anarchists, agitators, looters, or lowlifes who are going to Oklahoma, please understand you will not be treated like you have been in New York, Seattle, or Minneapolis. It will be a much different scene. And now they're saying, oh, he's threatening, he's making threats of violence. There's no threat, you know. You could interpret it that way if you wanted to, which I know most people are going to try and interpret it that way because these people don't like Trump. And he didn't say anything about peaceful protesters. But if you're gonna go into his rallies like they've done in the past and just disrupt and cause scenes, you're gonna be thrown out. Simple. So they're saying, oh, he's threatening. Shut up. It's a private rally. He has every right to throw you out of his private rally if you're gonna disrupt it. If you want to be a moron outside, be a moron outside. But if you're gonna cause violence, and you're gonna cause disruption of his rally. And I'm even talking about like if any Democrat wants to do that. If a Democrat is putting a rally, is doing a rally, and he has people come in and disrupt his rally, he has every right to have security take these people out. Outside, I mean, not like take them out, bring them outside of the rally. You know what I mean. So this sort of nonsense, this is just political idiocy that these people are tweeting now. That's they're saying that he's threatening people with violence. You know, shut up. So yeah, ridiculous at face value. But what I was saying in terms of like the let's see, I was looking at just one final trend that I was interested in. Um, let's see. So, oh yeah, Dahmer. That's what I was talking about. Jeffrey Dahmer. So Jeffrey Dahmer, if you don't know too much about Jeffrey Dahmer, he's a really messed up individual, serial killer kind of dude. There was this police officer, like police officers, not just one, that had found a basically naked young underage man who was injured, bleeding from the head, and this guy was one of his soon-to-be victims who had escaped Dahmer. The police brought him back because Dahmer caught up with him, saying, "Oh, you know, it was just whatever." He concocted some story. The police returned the guy to Dahmer, and Dahmer proceeded in killing him then. Uh, it is mind blowing. And let's just be clear. I just want to be clear about my thoughts about the police. You are always going to be able to find stories or cases where the police have messed up, or there is an abuse of power, or there's some other issue going on. Overall, the police do a wonderful service to their communities. And I want to be kind of clear about that, because without law enforcement, you would have anarchy. You need police. And a lot of the police force that exist in the United States, they're not all bad people. To label all as bad is a great injustice to those people that sacrifice their lives for others, that have sacrificed their lives, police that have died on the line of duty trying to protect other people, and just your local residents and citizens of the United States. It's a huge disservice. So to label all police in a negative way is just to me it's wrong. Said that, oh yeah, there are plenty of cases where, like in this case, this guy, this police officer, I don't understand how that could have happened. But then again, nobody was there at the time of that circumstance, so I don't know what his thought process was that made him decide, yeah, okay, Dahmer's story is believable, and I'll return this injured, naked guy, underage guy, to this weirdo. I mean, okay, I guess that's the thought process. I don't know. Okay, I just don't know. So apparently, he was he was let go from the force, got reinstated, and then now is retiring. And what the interesting thing about this is? This is also in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. This is also in Minnesota, which is it's quite surprising. His name is John Balserzak. He was one of the 2 police officers who were called to investigate a 911 call about a drugged, bleeding 14-year-old Laotian immigrant who escaped from Jeffrey Dahmer. The boy ended up being raped, killed, and dismembered that night. So this guy retired. This was Milwaukee. So, I'm sorry, it's not Minnesota. My bad. It's Wisconsin. Yeah, that's really not good optics. I don't know. I'm not sure why this guy was put back on the force. And I don't know, again, yeah, fine. I don't know, um, I don't know why the police force would do that. It really, it really is strange. But again, back in the 70s and 80s, I remember hearing of news items that from that era and all that kind of stuff, where kidnappings and serial killers like this, they were pretty rampant. It was kind of like news du jour. You would always hear some person, some serial killing, some kidnapping, some I remember seeing news items of dismemberment and other things like that. I don't know. It's just so it's weird. It was really weird. And I'm sure training has changed over time. I don't know if something like this would happen nowadays. Maybe it would. I don't know. I think it really depends on training, and it depends on the situation as well. I do think that things have changed in terms of that sort of climates. Uh so I'm not convinced that, well, you know what? Actually, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say I'm not convinced that that would happen again in this day and age, but the problem is, like like I said, there are some cops that are incompetent. There are people in authority that are incompetent. I mean, you had just recently with this whole George Floyd thing. It's pretty clear that Klobuchar, for example, dropped the ball with this police officer. She had a chance to prosecute this individual that had 18 complaints against them, or 17 complaints against them. She dropped the ball. She didn't do her job. So you know what? I'm actually not going to say what I was thinking about saying, because it could definitely happen in this day and age. I'd like to think positive. I'd like to think that people have evolved. But when it comes to like politics and biases and prejudices and things like that, unfortunately, people are still subject to that, and that may play a role in your job, and it's unfortunate. But at least the silver lining of all this, and it may be not much consolation to those that have suffered by the hand, because of these people making poor decisions, based off of whatever. Like in the case of Dahmer's victim, it's not going to be much consolation to him or his family. But the consolation, at least, is that you can learn from these bad circumstances. You can learn and improve. it's not much for those that suffered because of those injustices and everything, but at least future generations, in theory, there should be improvement, and things should be better for them. I think that we're reaching a point of where I think I'm gonna end the stream here. I want to end more on a positive note, though. Well, this isn't necessarily a positive note, but the guy that played Bilbo Baggins, Sir Ian Holm, he apparently passed away, age 88. Sir Ian Holm, or Ian, I'm not exactly sure how that's pronounced. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. So, I kind of enjoyed those movies. I actually like fantasy and sci-fi and things like that, and I thought that his character, the way he portrayed it in Lord of the Rings was great. I had no issue with it. Uh, so it's kind of sad to hear that news, but again, I was not invested in this individual. I don't really know him, so I don't feel any particular like grieving. I'm not particularly grieving for anyone. Generally, celebrities. I have no investment in Hollywood or musicians. I've kind of I guess I've kind of grown disillusioned and jaded with them because it's just so they're so political now. Not that they weren't political before, but it seems like they're way more political now as well than they were in the past. I mean, even in the silver age of movies, you had a lot of stuff happening with actors and actresses and politics and all that kind of stuff. But it seems like they weren't actively like trying to be dissenters at least. So I don't know. I just wish that people would like entertainers. Some people may not like the term that I use, but a lot of times I call entertainers such as actors and actresses and singers. Um, I call them court jesters because that's kind of what they are in this day and age. They're the modern time court jesters. They are there for the entertainment of others. Um, so I believe that if that's their business, that's what they should stick to. And some of these actors and singers, they're very good at their craft. I'm not saying I'm not calling them court jesters to kind of diminish their craft. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to say, well, listen, if your job, the career that you chose was to entertain, then entertain. Do your job. It's like if I hire a plumber and he gives me his political opinions about, the election that's coming up. I hired you to clean, not clean. I hired you to fix my pipes. Like what? I don't need political pontification from a plumber. If I go to my baker and I want to get some bread, do I need to know the political ramifications of buying bread? No, I don't. So I think that people need to learn to stay in their lane. Do they have a right to express an opinion? Sure. Can they believe anything they want? Yeah. They have a First Amendment right just like I do. But as an entertainer though, there are certain industries. And this goes back to companies being apolitical, like my belief of companies being apolitical. You're serving a group of people. You're providing a service or a product. Your product and service is entertainment, be it movies, music, the arts, things like that. Then I don't see why you have to alienate a group of people to do so. I think that if you want to provide a service, provide the service. If you want to provide a product, provide the product. If you want to entertain, entertain. So that's why I use that terminology. I say, listen, you're a court jester, and you chose that as a career. You decided, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to provide this sort of service to people. Then provide the service. We don't need the political commentary. That's what I believe. So I've never quite understood why these actors feel like they have to be so political sometimes. But I think at this note, we're going to end the stream. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you. I just saw the chat from YouTube. I'm sorry I didn't notice that earlier. I was a little bit distracted chatting about stuff. Thank you, Captain Q. I hope it takes off as well, and the way it can take off is with your support. I need your support to make sure this takes off. So please go and subscribe, follow, and share on all different social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Gab. I'm on Parler.com. I'm on Minds.com. On YouTube as well for the video streaming. I'm on YouTube, DLive, Periscope, and primarily bitwave.tv. So I invite everyone to subscribe, follow, share, and if you can support also financially, that's always welcome. I'm not going to say no to that. Streamlabs.com/theeternalabyss. It's on the screen. It should be in the description here at Bitwave. I don't know if it'll show up on YouTube or the other descriptions, but I will be updating all that stuff. And I'm trying to archive all my videos on BitChute. I am behind. I'm not gonna lie. It's been difficult for me to keep up with that. So I invite everyone also to follow and subscribe on BitChute, because if anything happens with my account on YouTube, at least BitChute would have an archive. And I'm trying to find also a backup of that archive, because I don't even trust BitChute that much, to be honest with you. I like redundancy in backup plans. I think it's a good thing to do so. So, my coffee's done. I think we talked at length. And there's not going to be a stream on Saturday. There's not going to be a stream on Sunday. So no streams on the weekend. I will see you guys Monday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And don't forget, every Thursday is my weekly stream, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mark your calendars and subscribe and hit those notifications so you make sure you don't miss them. And remember, kids, don't be complacent. You don't want that. Go out there. Do what you got to do to register people to vote. Spread the good word. And support conservatives like myself. Support conservative ideas. Because we're constantly being attacked. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. Enjoy the weekend. 4th of July is coming up relatively soon. And, always be safe. Stay healthy. And as I mentioned, don't be complacent. Have a great day, everybody.